Alright, so the next video I'm going to work on is subtracting fractions with unlike denominators. So if you want to look at adding fractions with unlike denominators, go watch the other video. Alright, so my first step is the same. I'm going to find my least common multiple by making my double-sided t-chart. I put my denominators on top. I need to list out their multiples. So 4 times 1 is 4, 4 times 2 is 8, times 3 is 12, 8 times 1 is 8, 8 times 2 is 16. They share an 8, and that is their least common multiple. So now I need to make that my new denominator. So I'm going to bring down my fractions, 3/4 and 2/8. And now we decide, how did we change our denominator from 4 to 8? Well, we multiplied by 2. Anything you do to the bottom, you must do to the top. 3 times 2 is 6. Let's do the same thing for the bottom. 8 times 1 is 8, so 2 times 1 is 2. Now we're going to go ahead and bring this down. And remember, we always write our first fraction on top and our second fraction on the bottom. That way, when we go ahead to rewrite, we don't end up switching the order. Especially when we move on to mixed numbers, this will make a big difference. All right, so let's do it. So we subtract across the top. 6 minus 2 is 4, and our denominator stays the same. Now we need to simplify. Because this is not an improper fraction, we're going to go ahead and find our greatest common factor. And we do that by putting our numerator and our denominator on top of a t-chart. And we figure out, how can we make that number using multiplication? 1 times 4, 2 times 2. Remember, if I use the same number on both sides, that tells me that I'm done. Now let's do 8. 1 times 8, 2 times 4. The only other number in between 2 and 4 is 3. And I know 3 makes 6, and it makes 9, but it does not make 8. So I know I'm finished. Now let's circle what they have in common. They have a 1 in common and a 2 in common, but they also have a 4 in common. So of these 3 numbers that they have in common, the greatest is a 4. Now I'm going to take this 4 and I'm going to use it to simplify by saying, okay, 4/8 divided by 4. 4 divided by 4 is 1. And 8 divided by 4 is 2. So that's how I can tell my final answer is 1/2. All right, we'll do it one more time. I have 2/3 and 2/12. I need to first find my least common multiple by making my double-sided t-chart, putting my denominators on top, and listing their multiples. 3 times 1 is 3, times 2 is 6, times 3 is 9, and times 4 is 12. 12 times 1 is 12, 12 times 2 is 24. Their least common multiple is 12, which means our new denominator is going to be 12 as well. So we have to figure out, how did we turn this 3 into a 12? Well, we multiplied by 4. 3 times 4 is 12. So anything you do to the bottom, you must do to the top. 2 times 4 is 8. 12 times 1 is 12. So 2 times 1 is 2. Then we're going to go ahead and rewrite. Remember, we always put our first fraction on top and our second fraction on the bottom so that when we rewrite, we don't get confused. 8 minus 2 is 6. And the denominator stays the same. Now we need to find our greatest common factor because this is not an improper fraction. So let's figure out, how do we make 6? 1 times 6, 2 times 3. There are no numbers in between 2 and 3, so I know I'm done. For 12, 1 times 12, 2 times 6, 3 times 4. They share a 1, they share a 2, and they share a 3, and they also share a 6. Out of these numbers, 6 is the greatest. So I'm going to take 6/12 and I'm going to use their greatest common factor of 6 to simplify. 6 divided by 6 is 1, and 12 divided by 6 is 2. Hope that helps.